forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, it took a while for the fog to burn off this afternoon, but when it did, we had a nice sunny day, and we were able to enjoy temperatures that were able to rise up into the upper 50s and even some low 60s. Then it stayed pretty mild going into the evening hours. In fact, a lot of spots remain still in the low 50s right now. Springfield as well as Jacksonville are at 52, 50 in Decatur, as well as Taylorville, Mattoon. Champaign's down to 47, as well as in Bloomington, and it's 49 in Danville, which is where we have our Flooring America weather camera up on our Roofing Dog iNet. Winds have been out of the south today, bringing in the warmer air, and it will remain mild for the day tomorrow with winds right now up trend 15 miles per hour. Unfortunately, though, we are calling for more clouds overnight tonight, but you'll definitely notice it by tomorrow, where we are calling for a cloudy day with chances for a few showers throughout the day. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
The financial impact of COVID-19 is staggering, but experts say it could have been even worse if the governor hadn't acted.
So I'm literally packing everything up now.
Some students are still staying on the U of I campus with nowhere else to go, where the university is moving them. It was too nice of a day to stay inside. How some practice social distancing while out and about.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Jessica Coons. We start tonight with an update on the number of coronavirus cases in Illinois. The state's death toll is at 19, and there are now almost 1,900 cases in 35 counties. Douglas County is reporting its first case of COVID-19. In Champaign County, the numbers doubled from yesterday. There are now 8 cases of coronavirus in Champaign County. The governor announced today that he is moving the state's tax deadline back. Just like the federal government, the state is extending the income tax filing and payment deadline by 3 months. Everything is due on July 15th instead of April 15th. The Illinois Department of Revenue will continue to process tax refunds for people who file before July. Financial help could soon be coming to bolster Americans and businesses against the economic effects of COVID-19. The Senate and the President came to an agreement on a $2 trillion stimulus bill today. It includes payments of up to $1,200 for single Americans making up to $75,000, $2,400 for couples making up to $150,000, and $500 for children. It also expands unemployment insurance for an additional 13 weeks and boosts the benefits by $600 for up to 4 months. $400 billion in loans and grants was set aside for small businesses, and $500 billion in loans for major industries, and more than $130 billion for healthcare providers. This bill still needs to pass Congress. Police departments are changing the way they answer calls to keep you and their officers safe. We talked with a lieutenant in Urbana today. If something is in progress or an emergency, officers will respond immediately wearing personal protective equipment. That includes masks, gloves, and eyewear. But they're trying to cut back on their interaction with the public, so they're handling more situations over the phone.
There actually have been instances up to this point where there have been some domestic disputes. Parties have already separated, and we've been able to call people on the phone since they've already distanced themselves from one another and talk with them and see if there's anything we can do to try and, help ease the situation.
Officers do share squad cars and workstations, so they're disinfecting those as often as possible. They also keep their distance during daily briefings and keep those short. Many people have questions about which businesses are open right now and why. The Champaign-Urbana Public Health District set up a hotline for reports of potential violations of the stay-at-home order. Non-essential businesses were told to close, with the exception of minimum basic operations like payroll. We have that hotline number and more information at WCIA.com. The Public Health District already had to file a cease and desist order, and that went to Champaign Mattress Firm. Health District officials say the store stayed open when it should have closed. The governor's order says places that sell household consumer goods are essential, and Mattress Firm employees thought they fell into that category, but they don't. New for you tonight, hundreds of U of I students have to move out of their dorms and into new ones. It's because of a last-minute change the university made in reaction to COVID-19. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen has the story.
When the COVID-19 pandemic ramped up, the University of Illinois responded.
We encourage students to start moving out.
About 3,000 students moved off campus and out of their university housing. But there were students left over who couldn't make the move because of finances, work, or other individual reasons. The university originally said they could stay in the housing they were already living in, but that policy was reneged.
What we didn't know was how many students were actually going to need continued housing.
It turns out about 250 undergraduate students couldn't make that move. They're currently living between 23 different residence halls on campus, just like this one. So the university decided to consolidate and move them all into the Pennsylvania Avenue residence halls.
I looked at my email this morning and I was like, oh, my life changed a little bit again.
UI junior Patrick Gorski is one of those who has to make the move.
It's kind of tough to keep classes rolling since we all transitioned to online, so that's hard enough as it is, let alone to have to pack all my stuff up today.
The university says that they did this for a specific reason.
It's in our best interest and the best interest of the students to consolidate them to PAR so that we know who is in the halls and that they have RAs and front desk services.
That was Jennifer Jensen reporting. The residence hall that students will be moving into is split up into 4 different buildings. Students will be spread out in separate rooms and will have separate bathrooms to practice social distancing. While state and federal officials are working to get money to people during this pandemic, a debate is happening in Illinois about whether or not to extend the stay-at-home order, and if so, should that extend to the entire state? Our Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell has more from Springfield.
The damage is worse than the impacts of 9/11 and the 2008 recession combined.
Hotels are just one sector of Illinois' economy suffering staggering losses after Governor Pritzker banned all non-essential travel through at least April 7th in an effort to contain the spread of the coronavirus.
There are severe economic costs to the executive order.
According to this study from math and medical experts at the University of Illinois, the cost of inaction would have been exponentially greater.
We are relying upon epidemiologists, some of the best in the world, frankly, on our great public health director and her staff, and on the statisticians and those who are modelers.
The study warned Illinois could have seen 12 times as many sick patients hospitalized from the coronavirus and 6 times as many deaths if it waited just 3 weeks more to institute a lockdown.
The sacrifices that you are making are saving lives.
The cases are very scarce throughout downstate.
Senate Republican Dale Ryder points out that model was built to measure a rapid spread of a virus in a city with as many people in it as Chicago.
We need to have a conversation about whether or not we should regionalize the executive order. The governor should regionalize the executive order.
Ryder said if cases remain low downstate, he'll urge the governor to consider letting regions of Illinois out from under the order to stay at home. Treasurer Michael Frerichs warned not to use a public health crisis to divide the state along regional or partisan lines.
COVID-19 is serious business. It preys on us all. What it does not do is differentiate between liberals and conservatives, Republicans or Democrats, or Chicago or downstate residents. We will all be better off if we remember that.
Public health officials warn we still have not reached the peak of potential cases of coronavirus in Illinois. The math experts projected that moment could come roughly 3 weeks after the governor's order to stay at home. Governor Pritzker's office said it's too early to calculate at this time whether that April 7th deadline would have to be extended. But as to regionalization, they pointed to an example in Italy where officials tried and failed to contain the virus within some hotspots. The coronavirus did not respect those boundaries, and it continued to spread while officials had lost precious time. Reporting in Springfield, Mark Maxwell.
Just because you have to practice social distancing doesn't mean you can't go outside at all, what some did with the beautiful day. Plus, the State Board of Elections says what one county clerk did was illegal, what he had to say when we talked with him. And later, 2 days, 2 transfers, who's now leaving the Illinois men's basketball team.